420 somewhere, and right now that somewhere is right here. So hello and welcome to the Cannabis Show. I'm producer Vince, and here's your host, Ricardo Baca.
Vince, thank you for that intro, Vince, and to everybody joining us today. Welcome to the Cannabist Show, where we talk about all things weed.
That's all things.
That is the serious marijuana news and the not always serious fun stuff as well.
The good stuff.
In fact, if you pop to the site right now, that's thecannabist.co, you can read stories about a property management company that connects chill landlords with renters who want to grow their own cannabis at home.
2016 is amazing.
About Denver's 420 rally and how it finally has a newly rescheduled date.
Save you a click, May 21st.
And about 1 or 2 or even 3 new pesticide-based recalls of marijuana.
And this one includes Guardian, everyone's favorite product.
Oh my gosh, Guardian. Producer Vince, how you doing?
Ricardo, I've been great lately. Thanks so much for asking. Most of this week has been spent walking around all of Metro Denver. My feet hurt, but what I'm doing is traveling to every rec shop I possibly can because I realized we don't have enough pictures from inside shops, and they all look so different. It's been an adventure. There's some that I can't wait to go back to and be customers at, and some I hope to never see again, dude. How have you been?
Dude, I cannot wait to hear more about your adventure out there. Agree, not all pot shops are created equal, but I'm good. Thanks for asking. You know, last week I talked about how great it was having Kimmy Schmidt back in my life. Ooh. And Vince, hot tip for you. Do you by chance watch any History Channel?
No, dude, I'm a millennial. I have no cable. None. We don't pay for it anymore.
Okay, all right. Well, maybe historychannel.com or something. There's a show on there I'm obsessed with, and it just came back, Vince. It's called Alone. And it's all about survivalism and, you know, being in the wilderness and just kind of existing in your environment. It's better than Bear Grylls. They actually have clothes on, so it's not like Naked and Afraid, but they plop 10 people down on an island, Vancouver Island, where there's bears and cougars, and they just have to exist off the land. It's such compelling television. If your millennial self gets yourself around to Hulu or wherever it is on, I highly recommend it. But Vince,
yeah,
it's time. It's time for the Week in Weed. Are you ready?
I was about to start looking up Alone. I was thinking about getting Comcast finally, but I'll settle for the Week in Weed, bro. Let's do it.
Dude, we are starting this Week in Weed in Canada, which has officially set its course to legalize recreational marijuana nationwide.
Dude, and if this legalization passes, it would make Canada the second country in the world to do so after Pot Quiz, Uruguay, of course.
You know, this week's news on the Canadian cannabis front comes out of the United Nations Special Session on Drugs in New York. And that's where Canada's health minister said their legislation to legalize marijuana will be introduced in spring 2017. Minister of Health Jane Philpott ensured her colleagues gathered at the UN that Canada's system will keep marijuana out of children's hands.
Out of children's hands. And of course, this comes less than a year after Canada's Liberal Party had an election night rout in late 2015, gaining a majority of the seats in Parliament and a new Prime Minister in Justin Trudeau, who ran on a policy of legalizing and regulating the wonderful sale of cannabis.
You know, in Philpott's speech to the UN, this is what she said, quote, "I am proud to stand up for a drug policy that is informed by solid scientific evidence and uses a lens of public health to maximize education and minimize harm. In Canada, we will apply these principles with regard to marijuana." And she went on, while this plan challenges the status quo in many countries, we are convinced it is the best way to protect our youth while enhancing public safety, end quote.
End quote, indeed. And I might add, the timing of Philpott's announcement on April 20th did not go unnoticed and was much appreciated around the office here at the Cannabis.
You know, elsewhere in the Week in Weed, Vince, we have very big marijuana news coming from Mexico as well, where President Enrique Peña Nieto said he is asking Mexico's Congress to raise the limit on decriminalized marijuana for personal use to 28 grams. And for those of you who need a little math help, that's roughly an ounce.
I really appreciate the math help, dude. But that's also 2 countries that surround the United States that's moving towards normalization. And it's a long time coming for Mexico. They followed a lot of steps to get here. First came that favorable Supreme Court decision last year. Then came the U.S. Border Patrol data showing that legal American marijuana is taking a bite out of Mexican drug cartels' profits. And now, the president's announcement.
Seriously, seriously. The change Peña Nieto is suggesting to Congress would also decriminalize the consumption of cannabis in Mexico. And that would mark a substantial difference from the country's troubled past with marijuana.
Yeah, man. Prominent legalization advocate Ethan Nadelman of the Drug Policy Alliance called the measure, quote, a modest but important step in the right direction.
You know, this cannabis space is so alive with news and change, and it is constant. It's 24/7. As always, we are happy to keep you in the loop. So if you want to know more about this proposed change in Mexico or even Canada's timeline to legalization, hit us up, thecannabist.co. It's all right there. Some very interesting and important reporting on what was a very busy couple of 420 weeks.
All things weed.
Vince, before we introduce our first guest, let's pay a brief visit to her very public coming out of the cannabis closet, why don't we?
I remember when this happened, Ricardo, and I bet all of you do too. So let's roll the tape.
All of my energy toward fighting for freedom and fairness, which begins with legalizing marijuana here in Alaska. And as for this job, well, not that I have a choice, but fuck it, I quit.
There she is with her infamous kiss-off line, fuck it, I quit. It's my pleasure to welcome former reporter and current ganjapreneur Charlo Greene to the Cannabist Show.
Hey!
Hey, how's it going?
Great, how are you?
I'm great.
Good, thank you for having me.
Hey, it's my pleasure. Such a pleasure finally meeting. I know we've talked on the phone and Skyped before.
But this feels good. This
it does
is real.
feel good.
Yeah, the vibes are great. Yes.
Welcome to Colorado. So,
glad to be here.
Very important question I ask everybody this, Charlo. You might be expecting it. Sativa or indica? Where are you at?
Sativa all day.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a lot of stuff to do, and a heavy indica is just going to put me out.
I hear that.
Yeah.
And I'm with you. It's always I'm always surprised for some reason when somebody's like, indica. And I'm like, really? Why? But I mean, to their credit, a lot of people who have really racy minds as is, it's like, I need it to bring me down.
Right.
And I don't understand that. My mind is plenty racy, but I don't mind it a little bit racier.
Yeah, exactly.
Charlotte, you're visiting from Alaska, of course. Thank you. We've been running stories about Alaska pot regulations moving glacially. You know, we've been following the progress there since you guys voted to legalize this in the midterm elections. But I'm so thrilled to have you on the show. Lay it down for us. What's working? What's not working in Alaska cannabis?
Well, like you said, everything is moving really, really slow, but it is progressing. I think one beacon of hope was the state not criminalizing cannabis clubs. I think that's the one thing that people can take away from Alaska, is the state giving us the opportunity to explore the social aspect of legalization.
Right,
so,
and they really have done that. Aren't they also allowing on-site consumption in certain shops?
Right, that's written into the laws. So they just started processing the applications for the new regulated sale of cannabis in Alaska. And so that is one of the options that dispensary owners can exercise.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
So give us the update on your shop or your collective as well. What's going on?
Well, we just celebrated our 2-year anniversary on 420, of course.
420, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. So 2 years in, that is, it's tremendous. We were the first collective / dispensary / private patient association, and we've been growing with our community. So we're still there, still serving our base, and just ready for whatever the state throws at us next.
And so your collective, you're kind of in that fringe, but it's okay and it's legal. Eventually you'll become a full-fledged shop, I assume, or is that the plan, or what is the plan?
It's possible. Alaska is it's a really funny place to be from, and to be making a lot of noise, and to be working to make a difference. So during the legislature, they actually proposed something that was dubbed the Charlo Clause, which stated anyone that operated any sort of collective or private patient association would be barred from qualifying for a license. And that's on the books.
Huh. And that passed. So, okay.
Right.
So good luck.
So whenever I'm ready to challenge that legally, then I'll do so. But right now we have something that works for the people that I stepped away from my career for,
Sure.
the patients.
And that was so fun and insane to watch you step away from that career, especially since we shared certain passion for journalism. But you know, of course, you're not only running a cannabis club up in Alaska, you're also getting ready to launch your own talk show. Welcome to the fray. It's a lot of fun.
It seems like it. Everyone's smiling in here.
I know. Well, tell me what we can expect from your show. When is it launching? You're calling it Charlo's Place, right?
Yeah, Charlo's Place. It's actually shot in a private residence where our guests can enjoy that intimate feeling of home. You can consume legally. We can cultivate and cook. And so we plan on doing all of that, just inviting people into what's really happening, going beyond the surface. So in addition to us talking about just whatever the day's news is, we're also going to be talking to medical marijuana refugees and parents that are fighting to save the lives of their children and to get them out of jail and everything. Just going deeper, using my decade of journalism experience to just show the stories, share the stories that really matter.
That's fantastic. Is there a single location you're going to be taping in? Is this West Coast? Is it going to be Alaska, down here in Denver?
Well, we're shooting in seasons that are 4 months long because that's the duration that it usually takes for a seed to go all the way from seed to smoke. So
I like it.
Yeah, so we'll be doing that in real time with all of our viewers. So right now we're testing the waters for the next month or so here in Denver, seeing if we like it. We've been out in California for a while, and so depending on what this month goes like, it'll either be here in Denver, in Los Angeles, or in Anchorage, Alaska.
Oh wow! But you might be moving away from Alaska.
Yeah.
I guess
definitely.
I'm guessing you've been splitting your time
I've been
between there.
spending a lot of time away from
since then.
Alaska.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm an activist before I'm an entrepreneur, and so I've been out in Canada and Jamaica and all over the nation, just speaking and empowering as many people to wake up to the opportunities that cannabis reform presents.
I saw the pictures of you at the High Times Cannabis Cup in Jamaica, right?
Yeah,
How was that?
absolutely.
I'm curious.
That was...
I heard it was like a good little homespun, tiny little event.
Yeah, it was a smaller event. It was really intimate. You got to meet a lot of the industry movers and shakers that were able to make it out to Jamaica for this trip. But I think what I left with was the people here could really use the financial benefits that marijuana legalization, marijuana reform is bringing about.
The Jamaican people.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Sure.
And it's not just a Jamaican thing. I mean, everywhere there are communities across our nation that don't see opportunities. So this, I mean, it's medicine, but it's also hope. It's also the opportunity to build a legacy for people in communities of color, for people of color.
Sure. The numbers are important. You know, we talk about them on this show all the time. 2015, for a medium-sized state like Colorado, right? We're probably bigger than Alaska in population, but nothing compared to California. But still, that was $996 million in sales last year.
$1 billion.
$135 million in taxes, including about $35 million going directly to schools across the state. And granted, you know, it sounds like a lot of money. You break it down, that doesn't do a ton for schools because stuff is expensive. It's 2016, but it is money that wasn't there before.
Right. It's
and
something.
And some of these smaller communities, they really feel it. I mean, talking to Pueblo County Commissioner Sal Pace, Pueblo's 2 hours south of here, he can't say enough about the infrastructure of his city, the roads, the parks, and how they are in the best condition of his political life down there, and how that just is entirely made possible because of cannabis tax.
All because of cannabis. Yeah, it's amazing, and that's why we thought it was so important to bring the show out here and see what the effects of legalization, what that really looks like, and explore that and show that to the rest of the world. A lot of the time we leave it up to mainstream media outside of the Cannabist. We leave it up to mainstream media to tell the story of our revolution. I mean,
Sure.
This is what our kids are going to be reading about us, what's happening now, and we're leaving it up to people that have never really been too friendly to advancing the cause. And it's absurd. So it's all about personal responsibility and taking our story back into our hands. So I'm joining you.
I dig it. I'm looking forward to having you in the space. There's so much room, obviously.
Yeah,
my God, the space needs a lot more. I would love to.
Good,
yeah, let me know. I want to talk about something else you're doing. You're putting together the Denver Diversity Summit for May 15th. Seems like a really interesting event, and people can learn more about it on your website, gogreen.org. But I have a question for you, because how did the lack of diversity in this industry, especially in management and ownership ranks, how did that happen? It's almost like watching this happen all over again. Did we not learn from our missteps and mistakes in other industries where to this day they're still dominated by white men?
Well, I think some of us have learned, and those of us that have learned are stepping up and taking action and making sure that before this industry, the foundation that it's being built on is cemented, we make sure that the change is in place there. So that's what the Cannabis Diversity Summit we're holding here in Denver on May 15th is all about. It's letting everyone know about the opportunities that are present now. Reaching out to people in communities of color, the communities that have been harmed most by prohibition, to let them know we have the opportunity to take what has happened and flip it and build our communities up because of it.
And so I think what you're saying is important, because you know, sometimes living in a legal state, especially the state that was first to legalize these sales, it feels like this has been around for a long time, and maybe we are entrenched in, you know, whatever activity and attitudes that we're already in. But what you're saying is this is still the cusp of this new industry, and there's still time to ensure that it doesn't end up like every other industry controlled by white males. Is
right. Absolutely. I mean, I think we share the same sentiment in the fact that it's absurd. There's, what, one person of color, one African-American person that owns a dispensary in the state of Colorado in 2016. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
I think it's actually a couple. I know Wanda thought she was the only one. Then last time she was on the show, I asked her, I was like, hey, you're the only one. And she's like, actually, no, the guy's over at, I think she said Frosted Leaf. But if it's 2, if it's 3, it's clearly not okay.
Is that any better?
No.
No, it's your one black friend. That's still not okay.
Right.
Oh, so that's what the Diversity Summit is all about. We're reaching out to dispensary owners in a number of states and countries, actually, of color, activists, thought leaders that are willing to take a stand, join me on the stage, and have a really important conversation about race.
I wish you luck. I think it's one of the most important conversations to be having right now, and we try and talk about it regularly on this show. So I'm thrilled you could join us. We're going to talk with you some more here in a few minutes, but thank you for joining us, Charlo. It's great to finally meet you.
Thank you.
Now on to our next segment, where I will throw to our very own teacher of THC. Of course, that's Professor Pat for this week's entry in the new Cannabis lexicon.
Trichome. Holding the majority of the cannabinoid content in the plant, the trichomes are crystalline structures which coat the plant's bract and leaf surfaces. Looking much like a mushroom when magnified, the head contains the majority of the cannabinoid content and essential oils, but the stalk also has some value. To hear that in a sentence, the trichome heads on this sour D are huge. I can't wait to see what the high is like.
Thank you for that, Professor Pat. Now, on to our next guest, who is also making her first appearance on the show. She loves weed. She loves to cook. She goes by the name Jersey Badger. So help me in welcoming her to the Cannabis Show. Jersey, how's it going?
It's going well, thank you.
Nice outfit.
Thank you. I don't dress like this every day, but just for special people.
Why don't you dress like this every day? Maybe you should.
I don't think that my bookkeeping job or my interior design work would really flourish in light of showing up like this. It's probably not a good idea.
What's going on here? You got leopard bodysuit and some fishnets and clearly some pretty tall heels.
Whatever the Blue Dream guides tell me to wear, I follow suit.
Good for you. Okay,
follow
Jersey,
suit.
you might have heard me ask this question to Charlo earlier, so very serious question. Sativa or indica?
Absolutely sativa, and typically a hybrid that's sativa dominant.
Sure,
Yeah.
okay. And have you guys heard, the people who know a lot more about weed than I do say that there is no true sativa, no true indica, that everything is a hybrid. Where do we come down on this? Charlo, what do you think? Do you know, is there such a thing as a true indica or sativa?
I really couldn't tell you, but to throw another thing in there, I actually heard that what gives you the actual effect is the terpenes in there, not so much the whether it's sativa or indica, but how the terpenes interact with each other.
Yeah, the terpenes play a big role in it.
Mm-hmm. That's the first time I've heard that word. Now, what is terpenes? Do you mind me asking?
Terpenes are found in any number of plants, but they give a plant or a botanical its smell and its taste, its flavor.
Interesting.
Yeah, so pine trees have terpenes, and
Lemon,
so does marijuana,
citrus,
so does citrus
Well,
trees.
I have a present for you guys. Do you mind if I
Bust it
pop
out,
that?
sure. I would expect nothing less
I
from
made
you.
you a special one, sweetie. I hope you could read what it says.
I can read it. It says fuck it.
All right.
That's so sweet.
Well done. And what are we looking at
So
here?
this is my homemade peanut butter mousse.
Oh, okay.
It is as organic as I can get, short of the Oreo cooking base.
And this is not infused,
It
right?
is not medicated. It is not. It is infused with love, but it is not infused with cannabis. So just a little sweet treat to kind of give you a little bit of buzz.
Thank you.
Well,
you're
thank
welcome.
you for
You're
that
welcome.
treat. It fits into what we're doing here, because we're talking about your talk show now. Man, I have all this competition on the couch. I don't know what I'm doing here.
At least they're on our couch.
Not yet. He promised.
I will, happily. Jersey, you host a talk show of your own, Pots and Pans. You get high, you cook something awesome, and you hang out with cool guests. That sound about right?
That is about right. Yes, I have to wrangle stoners sometimes. So
Yeah, okay, I
and
understand
be a
that.
good host and make food. So that's how we roll. And I
How
get
did
them
the
all stoned.
Tell me about the show. When did you first think, hey, I'm going to get everybody stoned and film it and release it on YouTube?
So I love to cook. I cook quite a bit for friends. I'm part Italian, so my natural tendency is that's how I show my love for people. And when I started combining that with getting stoned in the kitchen, I realized that I would come up with all kinds of just crazy creations that were like killer. And I'm like, it really put me into a Zen space. So my
Cooking puts you into a zen space. I love it. Nice.
So my man, it was something we were joking about, like, hey, let's do something called Pot and Pans. And it was something that didn't look like it was going to become into reality. However, a friend said she'd come over and shoot it, and it was game on. It's like, oh my God, this is real. All right, let's do it. And it just sprung from that. And I've had some great guests like the Devil.
The Devil.
I made escargot for the Devil.
You've all heard of him.
I got
the Devil.
Wait, I got big news. I have to tell you, I got big news.
Okay.
Things have been worked out between the Devil and the big man. And the news broke on Pot and Pans, but just like all serious news, it never makes it to the media. You think I'm kidding?
So the devil and the big man, meaning like
God.
Andre the Giant, or
God,
God,
yeah,
okay,
it's all worked out. They worked it all out.
All right,
Everything
that's
is good.
Because I think the
that's
devil
kinda
had a beef with Andre the Giant too, so I wasn't quite
You know
sure.
what? He didn't talk about that day. So.
Well, I'm gonna have Vince pull my favorite clip. Vince, the clip with Jersey and the dominatrix and the slave.
My suburban neighbor right now is thinking, I wonder if she's in there canning some pickles.
Right.
Or she's got a dom and her pet on a chain. I've got some powdered garlic. And when I'm stuffing something, I'd rather use something, a dehydrated garlic, because then I know that I don't risk raw garlic in the center.
Yes, I'm getting ready to stuff as well.
Nice. Okay, now stuff.
Stuff. Stuff.
Holy shit! I
So Jersey, you have a dominatrix in your kitchen with the slave and the whole full face mask, leather, pleather, not saying a word, obviously. What are you doing? Where'd you come up with this Jersey Badger name persona?
Well, that's a couple of different parts. So I'll start off with the Jersey Badger part. So I have attended Burning Man, and to help people from burning, trying to remember my name as soon as they would hear me talk with their Jersey accent. I've never lost it. It just was a great way for them to remember, oh yeah, that's Jersey. And then my boyfriend was watching the Honey Badger video, like Honey Badger don't give a shit, and he just thought that Badger should be added to my name because Jersey Badger don't give a fuck.
Apparently, okay.
But I do.
You care about peanut butter mousse.
I do. I care about
mousse?
Peanut butter mousse.
Peanut butter mousse, okay.
Yeah, and so the second part of your question was you have a slave in your kitchen. Yes, when the professional dominatrix, and she truly is a professional, showed up with her. I looked her
up online. She has her own
Lady
website
January.
and a dungeon, and yeah.
And so she showed up with her slave, who I had thought he was going to be helping me prepare things, but that just never... Yeah, just like that. So it was quite interesting. It was an interesting shoot. There was nothing prepared that was completely organic. When she started putting on her dildo, I honestly was, what you see is real. I was completely surprised.
Yeah, she just took off her shirt and put on the dildo. Yeah, it's great. Charlotte, you got to watch this show, man.
I think I do. I need to check it out. Wow.
And I love this because this so fits in with my next question. Jersey, you told me that you think of cannabis as, quote, an important aspect of adult playtime.
Right.
I really like that, but I want you to extrapolate on that. What do you mean, adult playtime in cannabis?
For me, adult playtime is something that I think we as adults need in light of the type of responsibilities that we are now taking on in our life. I mean, we are going 100,000 miles an hour every day, and I think it's very important for people to connect. And this is, to me, is such a beautiful way to be able to make a dinner and sit and enjoy, get stoned together and just laugh, because to me, laughter is incredibly important medicine.
Sure, I agree with you. When you said that, I just kind of wrote it down, and I was like, adult playtime. I think that's so much of what we do. I mean, especially for those of us who are lucky enough to recreate with marijuana and we don't have to rely upon it for medical reasons. It should be used for adult playtime, damn straight. But it also has a therapeutic effect on the mental side too, because you lost your husband in a car accident 9 years ago, and I'm so sorry. God, I can't even imagine. But you did tell me that marijuana helped you through that time and that grieving, mourning. How does that process work, and how did marijuana fit into that mix?
For me, I hadn't smoked in years. I had no access to it. The day that the coroner, actually was a detective, showed up at the door and asked me to identify myself and said, there's been an accident. And as soon as they said that, I could just feel it in my heart that my husband was dead. And I said, "Is he dead?" And they said, "Yes." And I immediately, in that moment, it was very interesting. I felt as though something, like some energy left, and in that moment, what set in was incredible feeling of shock, like literally feeling a cellular response to that statement. And noticed that I went right into take responsibility mode, like what has to be done. I've lost both my parents. I've had to identify one of their body. I mean, for me, I went right into being the responsible adult.
Sure.
I had to close a practice. We had a physical therapy chiropractic practice, and I remember standing in front of my employees, and it was very interesting. It was like this booming voice said, "Get pot now." Like, get pot now. You need to get a hold of cannabis. And I was very fortunate enough to get some medicinal grade marijuana. And through that process, that experience of using cannabis gave me access to feelings that prior to that I had not been able to put into words. And so my experience from using cannabis helped reflect on the experience. There was quite a bit rolled up into that event that day and the aftermath of things that unfolded. Yeah. However, I was able to use cannabis to start to work with the shock. It took 2 years for me to not wake up at 6 a.m. and just feel that intense, almost constant adrenaline running through my system.
Was it mainly marijuana helping you internalize what had just happened, or was it also externalizing it and making the most out of that situation, getting past it?
I think there's a lot of facets to how it really, where it helped me. I think there's lots of layers, and I'm still identifying what those layers are. However, I believe that there's so many people that would have been taken out of the game having some of the experiences that I witnessed. I mean, there was the news, and I'm not going to say the station, shot him on fire in his car from a helicopter. So I watched my husband on fire in that car. And from that moment forward, I made up my mind that when I see someone else having a tragedy, I will not just idly sit by and watch it.
Yeah,
but I will. Yeah, I want to give that something to those people, because I've been on the receiving end of that. And that the biggest thing is what cannabis gave me is that we all deserve life part 2, just as fabulous, even if not even more fabulous than life part 1.
Good for you, and thank you for sharing the story too.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I appreciate it. You know, I'm partially inspired by this delicious peanut butter mousse, but I want to run an idea by both of you, okay? Charlo, you're back in the conversation. My wife always gives me total shit about this, but one of my favorite things to do while getting high is watch a little bit of Top Chef. You know, I never got into the show until the last couple years, the last couple seasons, but there's some really talented people on that show, and unlike, you know, I don't really like Hell's Kitchen as a TV show just because they seem kind of like hacks, but really top-notch chefs on Top Chef. And what I've noticed when I'm stoned is I pay more attention to details that would definitely whiz right by me in the course of, you know, an average day of watching TV or whatever, but I suddenly notice different things that these chefs are doing to improve their dishes that are probably very standard for trained chefs, of which I am not one. So my argument is getting high and watching Top Chef has made me a significantly better cook. Charlo,
Yes.
Has weed improved your own creativity in the kitchen?
In the kitchen?
Yeah.
No.
No.
No, it's led to several things being burnt and yeah, I love like cooking for me is an opportunity to focus on just one thing. And so whether I'm smoking or high or not, it's like therapy for me. It is that calm down. It's my indica. So when I add weed onto that and I'm already just focused and then I'm just kind of like chill on top of it, then some things start simmering a little too long.
Okay, so it's not the source of inspiration in the kitchen for you that it is for other people.
Not in the kitchen.
All right, Jersey,
Yes.
what about you? I mean, does cannabis make you better in the kitchen or worse?
If I'm by myself, I have so much fun and can come up with so many creative things. However, when I have a group of stoners that I'm cooking for, I've learned that I cannot multitask on the pot that I'm smoking.
Socializing while cooking is already
And
difficult
managing.
enough. Yeah.
Yes.
But all right, well, I appreciate the honesty, and that's true. If I'm cooking a big meal, you know, I always have to get the bulk of it done before anybody gets there. Otherwise, I'm a total mess and the timing is off. But generally, I stand by it, ladies. I'm a better cook because of marijuana, okay? It is time, ladies, for the pot quiz. So I hope you sharpened your skills and read up on your current events. Charlo, we're starting with you.
Okay.
If you get the wrong answer, Jersey, you can steal it for the point, and vice versa.
Okay.
So, Charlo, what U.S. state was supposed to announce the owners' names of its first medical marijuana dispensaries in mid-April, but postponed the announcement to finish their background checks?
Are you going to give me multiple options?
Oh, no. So, judging from the question, they haven't started their medical sales yet, haven't even opened the stores, haven't even announced the owners' names yet. So this is a state on that level of this whole scale.
Who could it be? I honestly have no clue. No clue.
All right. Jersey for the steal. Do you want to throw out a state?
Sure, Oregon.
That's a good question. That's good. good possible answer, but they already started their recreational sales and have had medical sales for a while. It is Hawaii.
Oh, nice.
Including Woody Harrelson and the creator of Tetris.
Nice.
Both of whom might be announced as owners of stores, both of whom applied. So,
Well, I hope that happens by the time I get there.
when you going?
July.
All right. To any Hawaii regulators who might be watching, Jersey's gonna be in Hawaii.
I'm shooting in Hawaii.
What island are you gonna stay on?
Maui.
Okay, so Maui. Try and get it taken care of before July. Jersey, the question is yours.
Okay.
All right. What U.S. state is currently dealing with a strict 2011 law that limits medical marijuana providers to selling cannabis to a maximum of only 3 patients each?
Total guess, Florida.
Good guess, but no. To Charlo for the steal.
3 patients each?
3 patients each. This is a 2011 law right now. They're trying to figure out their way around it.
I will throw something out there. 3 patients each.
I think that's one of the reasons why this has made some news in the last couple of weeks, because of that 3 patients per cannabis facility.
I will say Iowa?
Iowa, also a good guess, and probably closer geographically than Jersey's answer, but the answer is actually Montana. So, still
Close.
0-0.
These are
Charlo.
really, really hard. I
Those
was
are
not
tough.
expecting
Oh,
that.
yeah.
That should be all over.
No, that
We don't mess around at the Cannabis Show, ladies, okay?
Okay. I thought I read a lot, but I didn't miss those.
didn't know any
All
of
right,
this
well, these might get a little bit easier. Charlo, the DEA this week approved a medical marijuana study that will look into cannabis's effectiveness in helping patients suffering from what mental disorder?
PTSD.
Boom. All right,
Oh,
there
got
we
it.
go.
Got
There
it.
we
I knew
go.
that one. I knew that one.
Cool.
Cannot miss that one.
1 point. And that's big, of course. That's being done with state of Colorado money. $2 million by a researcher who is a friend of mine, Sue Sisley, down in Phoenix. Jersey.
Hold on, I gotta put my tail in a different direction. I
Okay.
gotta tune into the powers that be.
You can use your tail as a microphone if you
All right,
want.
let's go.
All right, Alex. When Hillary Clinton was asked on Good Morning America last week about how she would vote if recreational marijuana were on her state's ballot, how did she answer? A, she was for it. She would vote for it. B, she would vote against it. C, it depends.
Total guess. I'm gonna say she's for it.
You're living in a bit of a dream world.
I tried. Hold on, let me tune in my tail.
I think that's also evident, made by
My
your
tail's just failing me
awesome
today.
leopard bodysuit. So she didn't say she was for it.
Oh.
Charlo for the steal.
It depends.
She did say it
Right.
depends.
Yeah, it
My
depends.
second guess.
Yeah, it was interesting. We actually have I interviewed the guy, you might know him. Do you know Evan Nissen? He does publicity in cannabis, and he's a co-founder at Whoopi and Maya, Whoopi Goldberg's new edibles venture in California. Anyway, he was actually the guy who asked her that question on GMA the other day. So,
Nice.
ladies, thank you so much for joining me. Charlo, wonderful to see you. Jersey, what a pleasure. What a pleasure. And thanks for the peanut butter mousse.
You are welcome.
Most importantly, thanks to you all for watching, for listening. Please keep telling your friends about the podcast. I'm hearing it. Producer Vince is definitely hearing it. You can subscribe to The Cannabis Show on iTunes, Stitcher, and now Google Play. So check it out. Props to Vince, Alita, Katie, and the rest of the crew. I'm Ricardo Baca. We will see you next week.
I'm allowed to lose, I choose to win, I'm all in, I'm calling any posse, you be waiting at the end, I'll say it again, ain't afraid to get in, I'll be going for the jackpot with aces in my hand, I'm raw.